Okay, cool. Okay, sure. Okay, okay. So first just that. Okay, okay, Zach, just connect to Zach. Can you hear me? Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, all good. Okay, cool. I'm just leaving a few questions in the chat just for you to just ask on the actual chat box if that's okay. And obviously just for everyone just to kind of get to know you in general and just so that we get to understand how you feel about the event, where you're based, field of media, etc. And I'm going to start the session. Okay, cool. All right, so welcome to Dan and Pooh CV Workshop. And today we're going to basically look into improving your CV profile, looking into the key skills element of your CV, and also looking into the cover letter side of things as well. So, what's really important is that when you obviously apply for a role, there's obviously added elements when it comes to your CV. So, your key skills, your cover letter, and obviously just ensuring that the employer kind of understands who you are and what you're trying to put across. So, right. Oh, give me a sec. That shouldn't have come up like that. Actually, no, that should have come out like that. Sorry about that, everyone. Just messed up something here. Apologies. Everyone talked about before we get into the actual the running order, I should say, sorry, forgot to put this here. Just basically, I just want everyone just to kind of note down in the chat what you hope to get out of the session, just a hobby of yours. This is really key for us because what this does as well during the session, it helps us tailor the session, but also helps us even during your post catch up with myself as well. So just basically what you hope to get out of the session, just a hobby. Feel free to use the chat box, give you a couple of minutes or so, and then we'll take it from there. Please don't get distracted by the gifts. There's going to be a lot of gifts in this deck actually, so be prepared. Zach, just coming to you. Yeah, like I mentioned, yeah, there's just some questions here for you. Um, if you put that in the chat whenever you're ready as you're typing. Okay, hope to understand more about why what employers are looking for. A CV, cover letter. One of my hobbies is that I do table tennis. Okay, cool, interesting. I've never been good at. Would I say I've been good at table tennis? Sometimes, not all the time. Um, but I respect people that are really good at it. I really do, honestly. Do you play it quite often, then, Joe, or is it like from time to time?
No, from time to time I try to play every week, but I've only just started as well, so
Mm,
I'm not anything special either.
okay, cool. When someone just whacks it like that, you're like, that's just unfair. Come on, man.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like VAR. That's like, come on, you can't
Yeah.
be doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've started off playing with my dad, so at least I can like I'm not playing with the pros yet, so I can
yeah,
get
yeah.
my confidence up.
Cool. Okay, Zach. So, Zach, you've mentioned. Okay, everyone just puts their stuff in there. So, Joe, you've mentioned your bit. Zach, so you play the guitar, hoping to learn ways how to break into film and TV, or someone has no credits. Okay, cool. And CV's first stage application, so it feels best to start improving that first. Okay, yeah. Kirsty. Yeah, I remember Kirsty, you said pottery. I remember you came to one of our sessions before. So pottery is one of your hobbies. Interesting. And then gets you ready to apply for jobs post uni. Okay. Liz. You've mentioned want to get better understanding on how to write because it makes you skill. Okay, cool. Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you everyone for that. Appreciate that. It's really good. Helps us understand exactly what you're looking for. So hobby of mine. I have a lot more hobbies. Some of you may have been to some of our previous events, but yeah, I do like a good jog. I like to keep fit. This is me doing a Hackney half marathon, so very grueling times. I'll never do it again, if I'm honest. But what I hope to get out of the session personally, for me, for the team, ideally, we'd like to obviously tap into your pain points, which you've mentioned. Obviously, some of you want to understand how to make a good CV, what employers are looking for, how to actually gain more credits, as you said, Zach, for example, little things like this. And you want to be able to kind of like give those solutions to the problems that you may be going through, which is really key. Okay, cool. So this is what I was referring to earlier. So I thought this was actually before the actual hobby bit. But just to kind of give you like an overview of Dad and Food, we've been doing this since October 2023. And basically we basically would you like me to admit that, Joe? Is that something you'd like me to admit? Just
Say
a
that again,
note
sorry?
taker. I think there's like a note taker that's coming in the room. I don't know if it's yours or
I'm not sure.
no. Okay,
Uh,
no, ignore that. Ignore me then. Forget.
no.
Um, okay, so yeah, just to kind of give you an overview, we've been running Data PC workshops since 2023. Helped a lot of young people with their CVs and getting into various jobs, as you'll see as we go during the session. This is basically what we're going to go through today. We've done an icebreaker already in registration. We're going to go through the CV profile. So the CV profile makes three areas: open line, meet the profile, and the killer line. That is your summary. You can say your about me section, etc. But it's split into three different areas where actually we allow you to understand exactly why you're doing what you're doing, where's your passion coming from, etc. Right. And then we're going to go into starting from scratch. So some of you, or if you have come from a different background, finance, or you could have came from a whole different, department. For example, you just get a new into media. We talk about start from scratch, and we go into key skills, and then the cover letter template. Does that all make sense to everyone? And everyone feels confident in terms of what we're going to go through? Yeah. Can I get a thumbs up? If that's all good. Okay.
All good.
Thank you. Okay. Perfect. All right, so first things first, I'm going to go into CV activities, open line, meet the profile, and then the killer line. The open line is going to be first, and I'm just going to talk to you about what the open line looks like. So I'm giving you an example of what open line looks like. So feel free to take notes. Like I said, this has been recorded as well. But feel free to take notes and ask questions. But the open line is all about showing where your passion started and bringing an example to make it personal. Now, everyone has a passion here. Everyone has a field of media that they're into, but there's a reason as to why you're doing. So, Kirsty, for example, illustration, there's a reason behind that. Joe, you talk about fashion communications. There's a reason why you're into that and why you want to get into that certain field. Liz, you talk about broadcast journalism. It could be someone that you've looked up to in terms of, your favorite news presenter. And then Zach, you talk about obviously getting into film and TV. So it could be that you're into, various different genres of film and TV. It could be drama, comedy, entertainment, etc. And just giving you little examples here. So I'm just going to show you before and after opening line. This is Aisha, one of our young people that we've worked with in the past. And here's a before and after of our opening line. Now remember, this forms part of your profile, right? This is just a little first bit of her profile, right? I want you to just all read this before and after, skim it, and then what I'm gonna do is go around the room and just have a little discussion with everyone in terms of what differences you see between the two, and I want to actually get you to kind of work on that opening line of your CV profile. Does it all make sense to everyone? Okay, cool. Just think about the differences that you see. Okay, Zach, I'm gonna come to you in regards to this open line I just put together. Anything that you've kind of taken away from what I just put together, the before and after. So you can hear me, Zach.
You can hear me. Hi,
Yeah, I can hear you
sorry.
now. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, my Zoom's bugging out. I'd say the
no worries.
before one, she sort of lost stating the obvious. So I'm seeking to utilize my journalistic skills through writing articles, reporting, and editing news stories.
Yeah,
It's very obvious. Like, what else would you be doing in a newsroom? You know,
yeah.
that sort
Okay,
of,
that
yeah,
makes sense.
restating the facts. But then after there's a narrative, um,
Hmm.
you know, you're saying where that passion started, like I know developing a story on that basis as well.
Yeah,
Um, so it's more interesting. It grabs you.
yeah, yeah. I like that you've mentioned that after when she uses the after bit, there's a narrative, kind of shows um, what she's taken away from the experience as well. And yeah, of course, it grabs you, makes you feel that actually she's talking about the things that she's learned in broadcast, which is key within news. And then obviously, like you said, she's stating the obvious in the before. Yeah, which she is actually in journalism. Yes, she would be writing articles, reporting, but she hasn't actually given like a, how do you say, sort of backing up, what she's actually talking about. Cool, so thanks for that. Joe, I'm gonna come to you. Anything that you took away from this open line?
Yeah, so I thought come for the after one compared to before, I think she focused more on her personal experiences and she went more into specific details of what she's interested in. So she didn't like highlight as many skills. Like I think in the first one she wrote, yeah, there was like three different skills. But then the after one she kind of focuses more on just the idea of news production and yeah, goes more into like her personal experience about who she is.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's a definitely personal experience of who she is, and that's really important because, again, you have to understand employers are they're looking, they're buying into you, and also they're looking into who they want to, who they can bring into the office or who's going to be in the office. So, can you fit that culture? Can you be part of that team? And I will say this, like any company that you might apply for, you'll start to realize actually, is this the right place for me? Is it not? And actually, companies will start to realize actually your values do align with what we do, or maybe they might not. For example, from just reading and seeing that open line of the CV. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm just gonna go around the room, get some volunteers just to kind of talk about the open line. And then what I'm gonna do is split you into breakout rooms, so pairs, and then just not for you to go away in the breakout rooms and actually fully write a proper open line, but just start to think about where your passion starts. So Kirsty and Liz, as I haven't asked you to volunteer, I'm just going to start with you, Kirsty. You mentioned about illustration advertising, right? And if we talk about open line, we go back one, where the passion started. Let's just get a brief idea of as to where did your passion start when it came to illustration, um, art direction, advertising. Where did that sort of all come from?
I think illustration, I mean, art and drawing has always been something that's been encouraged in my house. Like my parents have always been very encouraging with that. So it
Okay,
was always like an activity that was done. In terms of advertising, I think that's sort of come on a bit later. I've done like workshops with companies and like uni projects as well that have focused more on the advertising aspect and kind of incorporating the illustration into that.
okay, cool. So yeah, so what you could actually, and that's really interesting because what you could actually do is tie in the two where illustration and advertising does come quite hand in hand together. And you can talk about how you know, how you obviously want to be able to be part of telling that story, the narrative, kind of getting everything. And that story could be from perhaps you're telling a story to do with sports, it could be something to do with entertainment, could be something to do with fashion, showbiz, whatever um the sector is ideally, but at least you're sort of tying and tapping into an area that you're passionate about and what you sort of want to go into when it comes to illustration. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Liz, I'm gonna come to you, and then I'm gonna get everyone into breakout rooms in terms of the open line. So, Liz, in terms of like your passion, where did it start? And bring us all to make it personal again. I'm just gonna go to Aisha just to kind of help out a bit. You talk about broadcast journalism, so you're in the same sort of field as Aisha. Um, where did it sort of start for you? So, for example, it could be something like, it could be a presenter that you looked up to. It could be maybe a news story that caught your eye. It could have even been, maybe you were exposed to, maybe there was an insight day, for example, that you went to that you're like, oh, you know what, this is actually interesting. I'd love to know how everything sort of works in the newsroom or etc. So yeah, just in terms of where did it sort of start for you, your passion?
Um, I've always had like a passion for writing, storytelling, but I think
Okay.
when I started like my A levels, I started becoming more like passionate about like okay, reading the news and like wanting to share my story with people and like just even like watching like the BBC, like I'll be inspired like oh I want to present on TV and learn about the production, the technical side of things. So
Okay, cool. All right, cool. All right. So what I'd even say to you, Liz, is that you could tie into a particular story. So think of it as like maybe you talked about obviously when you started A levels, that's when you're passionate about reading the news. So if you went back to A level days, or maybe you just started A levels recently, I'm just kind of giving you like an example here. Um, was there a particular story that you may have come across, or something that you're like, you know what, this is like really intrigued me to get into the area of broadcast, to get into the area of actually news production, to get into the area of kind of understanding exactly how you do your research, how you go about doing interviews, um, etc. So there might be a particular story, could be anything. It could be from, I mean, we could talk about so many different stories on right now, in general in terms of the news, but there could be something that you are very interested in. It could be something international, could be something local within your community, could be something that within the music industry, within within fashion, etc. Things that are just happening in general within the health community, etc. Does that sort of make sense? So just thinking about I guess a particular for you, a particular sort of s sort of story that kind of drew you into the news side of things. So does that make sense, Liz?
yeah, it does. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. What I'm gonna do is split up you all into breakout rooms. Joe and Zach, obviously, when you come back, I'm going to put you two together, and then Kirsty and Lizzie, Liz, I'm gonna put you two together. And then what I'll do is kind of like again look back at what you've kind of put together. Again, this is basically what I just want you to do. Just think about, and I'm gonna put it in the chat here. Think about where your passion started within your area of media, right? And then example to make it personal. And I don't expect you to go away and write a full-blown open line like what Aisha's done here. Again, this is where we have this event, this session to kind of think about those things and just jotting down, okay, so for example, Joe, you're into fashion. It might have been that you got into a particular fashion show. You might be following a fashion designer. You might be always being into um sort of keeping up with the latest trends, etc. Am I making sense? So it's kind of like just thinking about those little things, and then that sort of sentence, that sort of paragraph comes together slowly but surely. Um, okay, cool. So does everyone understand exactly what they need to do in terms of that opening line as I get you into breakout rooms? Just if you give me a thumbs up, then at least I know I'm not just waffling. um, okay, cool. So Joe, I'm gonna put you in with Zach, and then uh Kirsty is. All right, so I'll leave you all to it, and then I'll bring you back in. Saying that. 10 or so minutes. And then we'll look at that opening line. Cool. Up to is I just came in here because I saw Saki dropped out, so I was just double checking just to make sure it's all good.
Yeah, I'm starting to hear. I think his yeah, breaking up a bit.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can see, yeah, it's breaking up a bit. Yeah. What I could do is if it helps, I could possibly get you all in one room just so that it feels like you're all working collectively together, if that
Yeah,
works better.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was easier. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Do that. Just okay. Yeah, I think I'll just do that. That's okay. Cool. How did everyone get on in there? Was that enough time as well for everyone? Just double checking. Yeah. Okay, cool. Zach's dropped out again. So did Zach drop out in the breakout room? Oh, here he is. Okay, cool. Yeah, so basically it was split into two breakout rooms. Joe, Zach, Liz, Kirsty, but obviously I get everyone together just because Zach you dropped out in the breakout room. So I think going forward, if that's okay, everyone's happy to kind of be in one breakout room, that's completely fine. Just so that it doesn't feel that just one person in the breakout room. Okay, so Joe, I'm gonna come to you just to kind of just talk to you about what did you speak to everyone about in terms of your passion, like where did it start? In regards to like fashion and comms in your area.
Yeah, so I think I've always been really interested in like understanding people through like self-expression, whether that be like in any different art form, whether it be like fashion or music or like whatever. But I think where it kind of really took me was when I was doing my foundation degree. I was like building skills in several different areas, but I guess like communicating fashion related ideas, like yeah, communicating like my creative ideas through fashion, like then really like inspired me alongside like at the time seeing several like quite young UK like fashion designers being like really successful in um highlighting like their like ideas about their communities or like what their fashion was about and it being really
Okay.
authentic. So I think that's then inspired me to like um use like fashion as a way to communicate to like like lesser spoken about communities and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, know what you mentioned there. Um, I think it's quite powerful in a sense to talk about self-expression because obviously, like if you look at the UK, like fashion is very unique, it's different. People wear different things. People express themselves in different ways. And I mean, like if we go back to like, I don't know how far we can really go, right? Like let's say like the Jesus pieces, like when obviously Kanye was like first brought that out and like
Yeah.
people would wear that, things like that. So just that's an accessory. But I think the way you've kind of said it in a sense is sort of kind of seeing these UK designers as role models, and then also kind of tying in and seeing their story behind what they're wearing or how they present themselves, how they put themselves out there, and then obviously just looking at your community, wherever that might be. Obviously Hackney is quite fashion centric in a sense. Because obviously I do go down there quite a bit when I do filming with the team. So like near Stratford, like Homerton area sort of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. So like yeah. Yeah. So it's quite interesting to understand that's like your passion, like what got you started. So yeah, and what I would then say is sort of like, you can also tie into if it's a public figure or if it's even just self-expression and kind of talking about when we get to the next bit, which makes you curious, you can kind of talk more about what that self-expression actually does for possibly the audience that you're trying to connect with, or more so even just for you as someone that's sort of trying to get out there. Cool. Okay.
Cool.
Um, cool. All right. So Zach. Yes, Zach, you're next in regards to where your passion started. If your was your order all okay? Just double check.
Oh yeah, fixed things.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So I just guess like where your passion started, what did you speak to the group about in regards to your passion and stuff?
So because it's about like film and TV, sort of I found it a bit difficult to sort of find a starting point because obviously everyone's watching like movies and
Hmm.
that from a young age.
Hmm.
So sort of identified it to a specific role and a specific role of like, the aim is cinematographer and
Okay.
sort of my interest in stage lighting. So
Okay.
did some crew work, stage lighting plays at university.
Okay.
So I'm interested in the creative effects that lighting can have on a play, and I want to see that application to film. So sort of identifying it to my experiences at university.
Okay. Cool. No, that's really interesting. So what you could kind of say there in regards to like where your passion started and just kind of make it short and sweet is that you talk about being a cinematographer, understanding a bit more about how the set, how basically you control the set in regards to the shots, the movements, the camera angles, all those sort of things, how you make someone feel inferior, superior, etc. Which you can always talk about actually in the media profile. In this start bit here, you can always talk about um being on set and actually understanding what's in front of you. So who's doing what and understanding I guess when you get like a call sheet, for example, and you see like there's various roles on that call sheet, understanding exactly like um who is manning what and understanding why that person has thought has that thought process to kind of make those decisions. So as a director, excuse me, second AD, for example, first AD, but the stage lighting is a really good place to start off with because you're then now talking about a specific area within film and TV and actually um that you have either done it yourself or you'd actually want to possibly even get more shadowing experience, in that sense. So that's where like your passions have kind of like started from. So there's lots of ways as to how you can talk about that. You can actually just go back to where when you first started that, so that uni project, you know, so sentence could start from taking part in X uni project. I was able to um, do various practice shoots with that allow me to understand various lightings such as dot 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 dot. Just give you an example, right? But yeah, it's just kind of like where you can kind of delve into. Does that make sense, Zach?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay, cool. How does everyone feel about the opening line? Just before we kind of move on to meet the profile. Um, all good. It's all making sense so far. Yeah. Okay. So, let's get into the next bit, which is basically the meat of the profile. And obviously, like I said, we talk about starting from scratch. So if you're starting from scratch and you're coming in, you're like, media's not my first thing, and I've just maybe you've come from like a background in construction, or you could come from trading, for example, this is kind of how we would kind of look into it in a sense where this is how you can kind of put together your profile. What do you consume? Why you actually want to get into media? You know, are you practical theoretical? So some of you in here might want to hold a camera. Some of you might want to do the book work, for example. So that's how you start to understand exactly what you kind of lean more towards in a sense. Okay, cool. So the media profile following on from the first bit, the open line, is basically talking about what makes you curious about what you love doing. So some of you actually mentioned already, but again, we can go more into it and actually explore a bit more about what makes you curious about your day to day in regards to your creative field. So this is Aisha's media profile. I just want you to kind of have like a little read of that, a little skim of that, as you've done with the first one, with the open line. And I'll go around the room in just a minute or so, just to kind of understand exactly what you've taken away from that. And then we'll go into breakout rooms, just to kind of talk more about your media profile. Does all make sense, everyone? Okay. Okay, cool. As you've read that, I'm gonna go to you, Liz, in regards to what did you take away from the media profile, the before and after, what sort of things have you taken away? Liz, can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, just kind of like what did you take away from the before and after Aisha's profile here?
Um, like for the before, I think it's like quite brief, you know,
Mhm.
like when she said that, okay, bringing light to issues affecting ethnic minorities, she could have given like examples or a bit more detail, but
Mhm.
yeah. But with the after, she she puts her own personal experience like working at the BBC and ties it in with how that helped her grow her passion.
Yeah. Yeah, so she states a company that could be Musi ITV, Sky,
Hmm.
etc. And then actually talks about the things that she done. So makes it she kind of makes it more practical in a sense and actually say this is what I'm learning or this is what I have learned or what has made me curious as I've been shadowing a BBC presenter. Great. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm just gonna go around the room, get volunteers to kind of just speak about the meet the profile. Obviously, in regards to what makes you curious. So, Joe, I'll go to you, first. And then obviously again, like I said, I'll split everyone. I'll go into breakout rooms in a sec. So, obviously from the opening line, you mentioned about, having that self-expression, and I
Mm.
think it's good to kind of like lead off from that and talk about what from this people being able to self-express themselves makes you curious. So what is it? Let's go more into detail. Is it to do with the way they style themselves? Is it to do the way of it could even I'm really going to go deep into this here. So it could even to do stuff like color schemes. It could be with even introducing new trends because obviously it's like baggies back now, isn't it? Like
Mhm.
people used to obviously have the skinny jeans, still do,
Yeah.
but now baggies back, and if you can rock it and make it look good, um, then it's obviously there for the taking. So I guess yeah, it's just kind of thinking about is it color schemes, is it new trends that music artists might bring out, or people in your community, for example. I kind of guess just see exactly where you're coming from in terms of curiosities.
I think it's probably understanding, like it's more to do with like communities and culture. So I think I like seeing how
Mm.
I linking it into trends, like why certain groups of people will go and like start wearing, I don't know, skinny jeans, or like why trends gather as they do, and what um I guess people like wearing certain clothes or whatever, like why does it make them, like why do they do it? Does it make them feel comfortable? Does it allow them to feel like included, or allow them to, like be like out there and show like confidence, I guess. Stuff
Hmm.
like that.
Okay, that's really interesting. And you can really tell a story from that. So what makes you curious is more so to do with like how people can make themselves feel inclusive in a sense. Sometimes it's even that whole thing of like everyone's bringing snapbacks back when the snapbacks obviously was a thing, and then it's like I've got to wear snapbacks. So it's kind of like how people can. It's sort of like how you can make a spin on things, even things that were once there and then bringing it back and making it cool again.
Yeah.
The confidence thing's really interesting. I think obviously when you talk about how it makes people feel is really big and interesting there, because you can talk about how you push emotions or how you make it emotive for people when they're actually wearing certain things. Some people feel like, oh, I'm gonna wear hoodies today. I feel like kind of lazy, or maybe actually that's just their everyday use, everyday wear. And the communities and culture, that's really key, because then you could tap into where you're from, where you've been around, if it's community centers, and you're in the festival movement, all those sort of things. Which is like, where is Joe and his community? Where are you at? Where are you kind of putting yourself in that place? Yeah, it's really interesting there. Cool. Kirsty, I'm gonna come to you, and then again I'll go into a break, get everyone to breakout rooms. Just in regards to your um curiosities, I guess, in terms of leading on from art and drawing, what makes you curious? So again, it could be you know, going to really the intricate details, such as color schemes, or just lots of different things really. But yeah, I'll let you kind of go into that.
Yeah, it's I think it's mainly like communication and like charity stuff. That's what a lot of my work has been focused on. And um, I did like a workshop with Liberty for a Young Minds campaign. Like that's something that really
Nice.
interested me. So, um, yeah, I think it is like campaign based. I've done like projects and stuff that are very sort of experience led.
Yeah, game based projects experience led. Okay, cool. That's really interesting, because I used to obviously do some work with UT when I first started out within media, so I know exactly what they're all about youth marketing. Um, and it shows that you're really focused on creating content that's actually going to move people and actually create a reaction as well. So that's
Mm.
something that you can actually add on as well when you're meeting the profile. Um, and sort of like when you create a reaction, people tend to go away and think about it and kind of make an actual, you know, let's make something happen from this, not sort of be standstill about it. So those workshops you're doing, you're giving people that sort of that vision, or that sort of like they have like a mood board to kind of be like, okay, I'm gonna go do X, Y, Z and actually make something happen. Um cool. Okay. Um cool. All right. So I'm gonna get everyone into breakout rooms. What I'm gonna do again, I'm gonna do as a four, or Zach, are you good to do a two? How do you feel about that? Is everything all working? So I can split into twos. I'm happy to make that happen. Um
Uh, Everything's working. I'm good with either, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So I'll do two and two now. And then again, if you just go in your group's end, just think about, and just make it really simple, what makes you curious? Curious is the big word here. What makes you curious about what you do, right? And then I just go back one. Just curious about what you love doing. What you love doing. I mean, obviously, we just spoke about that with yourself, Joe and Kirsty, but again, it's always about to think. So I'm gonna move you to room one with Liz. So okay. I have you all in there just for a couple minutes or so. Think about the movie profile, what makes you curious, and we'll come back in and talk about that. And then we're going to the next bit, which is the killer line, which actually finalizes the actual profile. And then we go into key skills and then the cover letter side. Cool. Right. Any questions? Everyone feels confident in terms of what to do? Just double checking. Okay, cool. Cool. How did everyone find that? Kirsty, all good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, cool. Liz, how do you find that? All good? And Zach, just
Yeah, all good.
okay. Um, all right, so just wait for Zach to come back. Probably just dropped out. Um, okay, so just in regards to um, so I spoke to yeah, Joe, Liz, I spoke to you. So oh, I'm wrong actually, Joe and Chris, I spoke to you. So Liz, yeah, just in regards to the meat of the profile, what did you speak to everyone about in regards to what made you curious about, I guess, broadcast journalism? As it seems as though it's quite related to you in terms of what Aisha said here, but what in terms of your story, what did you sort of speak to? Um, Apologies, Liz, you spoke to Zach. What did you speak to Zach about? So I'm thinking you're all in the four. What did you speak to Zach about in regards to yeah, your meet the profile? Can you hear me, Liz? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to shed light on topics on the Black community, like Black
Okay.
music, Black culture in the UK. And I got curiosity from like watching interviews on Capital Extra on YouTube.
Okay.
I like seeing how the panel they would ask questions to their guests, and they'll be like interactive with like games and quizzes and try and get to know them. Yeah.
Okay. On radio. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And then so what you could actually talk about is it feels as though you're interested in the planning stage of, I guess, like of journalism. So like, when it comes to like questions, interviews, sort of brainstorming ideas. So say you're going to interview I just put his name out there just only because like he's had the album out and he's the most listened artist right now in the UK, Central C, for example, and you had to like create obviously interview for him, you'd always have to do your research. You'd always have to ensure that you even have listened to his past album 23, for example, and even just understood, like his come up as well. So basically what I'm kind of tapping into is more so like the planning stage is what sort of like what makes you curious and just understanding how you put all those things together to ensure that the content that puts gets put out there is relatable, but also something that the audience can digest, and actually then even you have a reaction or an impact created from that interview. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then Zach, just coming to you, in regards to what you spoke to Liz about. So Joe and Kirsten, I spoke to you both before, but what did you sort of speak to Liz about in regards to what makes you curious from the stage light and stuff you were talking about, wasn't you?
So I feel like we kind of touched upon it before, but like the creative effect of lighting on the scene, how light or the absence of light or the particular color you use can convey particular emotions, and sort of I'm interested in like the minimal sort of like sort of all these minimal effects coming together to create a
Hmm.
precise effect in a scene.
Yeah, makes sense. See. Okay, yeah. No, I think what's key there, what you said is more so to do with the absence of lighting. You can kind of see exactly what lighting can do to a scene, how it can impact the scene, depending on how you use lighting, to make your subject feel inferior, superior, all these sort of things. Um, so when I was studying film and media, you learn about things like um different sort of lightings, like the key light, fitted light, backlight. So, key light being the most influential, the most brightest light, etc. all those sort of things. But you talk about particular color that they use. So obviously even to manipulate and influence you know, the audience or even the consumers who you're actually showcasing your film to, your short, your feature, whatever it could be. So just like manipulation and influence, etc. All those sort of things play a big part. Um, yeah. Does that all make sense, Zach, in regards to the lighting side of things?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. How does everyone feel about meeting the profile? All feel confident? Any questions on that before we move on to the last, which is the killer line? No one's got any questions? Okay, cool. All right, so just moving on to the killer line bit. So again, start from scratch. If you were coming from a different sort of field, we would obviously look into, you know, one point that's intrigued you about media. So it could be anything. So you could be someone that's into gaming. You're like, okay, that's what's intrigued me about gaming. And then your reason behind transitioning into gaming, for example, if you were starting from scratch, etc. Okay, so this last bit is called the killer line, and what I'm showing you here is basically one thing that you have currently doing, one thing that you have done, one thing that you plan to do. So it's about using past, present, or future. And we can do this actually in the session here. We haven't got to do it in the breakout room. So you haven't got to use all past, present, and future. You can you can actually put two together and say you wanted to use like the past and then the future as well. I'm going to show you exactly how it works. This is Aisha's killer line in regards to what you kind of, you know, learn about Aisha and obviously what, you know, you would have obviously heard her story. This is her before and after. So I just want again you to look through the before and after and just have a little think about what you kind of see differences, and then we have a discussion. Then we'll go into all of your killer lines, just to kind of have a little think about, is there a project you're working on now, something you want to do in the future, or something you've done in the past, etc. Okay, cool. Kirsty, I'm going to come to you in regards to what have you taken away from this killer line before and after, in regards to what Aisha's put down in her before and after.
Um, Before it's quite general. There's no specific area that she's focusing on. Um,
Hmm.
it's kind of open. And then after she's kind of given examples of what she has done and what she's doing,
Hmm.
um, and what she sort of wants to do with her work.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, exactly that. Yeah, and yeah, what she wants to do for work. Yeah, exactly. It shows that she's actually in the workspace, actually actively doing it as well, which is really key. That's definitely true. Joe, anything that you picked up on from the before and after?
Yeah, pretty much similar because I think maybe a bit more like after a bit more emotive language and like saying like that she had pride in doing what she was doing. I think it shows that, you know, it shows that care and like thought into what she does.
Yeah,
And then linking that with, you know, like the actual examples to show that she's actually, yeah, currently making work and will be continue to.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think when you say she takes pride in doing this, it kind of shows like where her values align with when she actually goes apply for a company or when she wants to actually um you know, in terms of what she wants to do with journalism, the impact that she wants to create as well, which is really key. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go around the room just really briefly, to talk about your killer line, to understand exactly all of your stories, which we've been doing in the actual session. But just to think about going back here, again, you can use past, present, or future, and just thinking about it could be like, oh, I'm looking for an internship, or I'm actually doing this project right now to help develop my skills within XYZ, etc. So, Kirsty, I'm going to start with you. Obviously, you'll meet the profile. You talk about just getting to your meet the profile. So, the workshop of Liberty, the charity projects, art illustration. So, what's next in regards to, or is there something that you have done already, or something that you'd like to do in the future? Um, uh, something you're currently doing that is, to kind of talk about that killer line.
Yeah, I did zine and campaign project that was based on my personal experiences with chronic health issues. Um,
Okay.
so that was something that really interested me, and I'm currently doing a project aiming to get more people into and using local libraries. Um, so that's my focus at the
Okay.
moment. And then what I want to continue doing and get into doing is working on projects that sort of communicate experiences and sort of cause like change and impact. So like doing stuff that's
Okay.
actually useful for people.
Okay. Cool. That's interesting. I like that your the kind of punch about chronic health illness issues, I should say, is key and something that's not really um, tapped into enough. I think obviously in terms of how you decide how you want to uh sort of depict that to an audience is really key and interesting because obviously it's a matter of how people take that situation seriously, but also anything to use local libraries is interesting. That's an interesting one as well to kind of understand exactly what sort of project you're trying to time with there. So and kind of wrapping up and actively showing the employer this is what I want to do and what I'm trying to do for my illustration and my art and advertising. So it gives them an indication as to the active projects that you're doing. So yeah, cool. That all sounds good. Liz, I'm gonna come to you in regards to that killer line. Um, is there something that you're doing right now, something you've done, or something that you plan to do? Because obviously you talked about Capital Extra, you're kind of, I guess you're sort of like you're seeing these things, but you're just if you talk to me about where you're at right now, I think because you talked about like A levels and stuff. So are you in college, uni? What sort of and what's like your killer line?
Oh, yeah, so I'm in my final year of A levels. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Um, but like currently I'm doing a work placement in Brighton in a
Okay,
news company. So
okay,
yeah, I've been like writing articles on like small businesses that are like underrepresented like a lot of the times in the media. So that's what I've been doing
okay.
currently. But I want in the future I want to do like work placements in radio stations and actually get learn about the technical production. Like
Yeah. Okay.
so,
Okay, that's great. Okay. That's interesting. So that's good that you're showcasing exactly what you're doing now and what you want to kind of take away and learn. Interesting enough, I actually went to Brighton University. Yeah, she studied there. But it's good to see that you're actually actively writing articles of small businesses and kind of like what you're trying to do to kind of improve your journalistic skills, which is key. So you're showing that to an employer and that you're basically creating your own work experience ideally. Oh, okay. Zach, I'm gonna come to you and then Joe, I think you're left after that. Yeah, so Zach, I'm just gonna come to you in regards to like your killer line. We talked about the lighting side of things. You want to kind of, convey different emotions, all that sort of stuff. So what are you doing now to kind of help you to get to that next point? What could be
Um,
something you've done in the past, present, future, etc. Yeah. Sorry.
okay. For the past, I might reference that I've worked on multiple short films.
Okay.
So one I worked as a sound recordist, another one I was like a producer and assistant director, and that one we
Yeah.
sort of took around some festivals. And then right now I'm doing a project where I'm taking so I'm doing a photography project on local businesses being effective, being affected and effectively turfed out by new developers next to the Elizabeth Line station near
Okay.
me. So yes, doing a photography project on the effects of gentrification, which
Okay.
links back to that visual aspect, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, that does, yeah. Stratification. Links back to visual aspect. Okay, that's interesting. And if you can, Joe, I'm gonna come to you in a second. But yeah, Zach, in terms of what you said there is really interesting because what you're doing here, you're actually giving the employer a story and actually talking about, when we look at your CV and we look at that profile, we're like, okay, so you're going away, photography, effects of gentrification, etc. And then they could actually ask you, say, what effects do you feel this is causing for um young people or for your community, for example. And then obviously that's where you have that conversation. Um uh yeah, so yeah, I guess what you've even said there is really key because um you can then give like an overview of like what that project looks like and what you're trying to kind of achieve with the photography. Cool. All right, Joe. Last but not least, I'm going to come to you in terms of Killer Land, and I'm going to move on to the last bit, and then we'll wrap up the session. So, again, is there something that you've worked on, something that so done something in the past, something you do now, something that you plan to do in regards to fashion and comms?
Yeah, so I finished university about 6 months ago, and in my final year, for my final project, I made a physical and digital fashion publication designed for people with visual impairments. So it included like inclusive design aspects in it,
Yeah.
including like sound design, and like sensory aspects. And then I'm
Okay.
currently working on a real world brief with D&AD and Monotype, and I'm creating a campaign talking about protecting the right to protest.
Okay. Yeah, I know D&D. They're advertising. They tap into advertising, if I'm correct. Am I?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. No, that's really cool, and it seems that you're tapping into a specific project. I think the physical impairment project really sounds interesting to kind of understand exactly um like what you want to actually get involved in, like what sort of projects you generally value and enjoy,
yeah,
which is really really key. Um, but yeah, once you kind of like make a base and understand that, then you're able to be like, okay, this is exactly what I'm working on, and this is what I want to achieve from it as well. It's really
mm.
key. Okay, cool. All right. How does everyone feel about that killer line? All good and all confident. Any questions about open line, meet the profile, killer line? And if you have one question now, you have one later, you can always just drop it in the chat. Okay, cool. All right. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go forward, um, just to kind of showcase you Aisha's finalized profile. But again, if you're starting from scratch, this is exactly how we'd look at it. Think about something you've always wanted to achieve creatively. So someone coming into the media field could say, oh, I've always wanted to create my own game or I've also created my own marketing campaign. I've seen something on, so for example, there's so many campaigns out there, really successful ones, and you're like, I'd love to create my own one day. And then, you just have to, you're now thinking about, this is something new to me, but I want to kind of create that in a sense. Okay, cool. So this is how Aisha's profile looks. Now you might look and it's be like, damn, that's like a really long profile. But please believe it's just Canva. And obviously we just stuck it on there to make it look big. So this is how a profile looks from start to finish, and obviously what we've been speaking to you about from start to finish with Aisha. And this is Aisha's story. So Aisha is at Sky News. So when she started at Sky News, she was on the traineeship, which is a 12-month program. And then she's gone on to be a producer now. So she works in the mornings, the evenings, during the day, doing covering lots of different stories, all the stories that you might just see and hear about from time to time, etc. Cool. Okay, so just kind of like going into the key skills bit and the cover letter bit into a second, but just kind of showing you who's done approved, and what that looks like. This is Vincent and this is Daryl, and Vincent's worked on the repair shop last year. And Daryl's worked on that short Apprentice, which if you are a fan of Apprentice, then you know what it's all about. Um, and yeah, this is basically some of the stuff that our young people that become Dan approved, they'll work on some stuff like this. It's not just TV and film, there's so many different areas we focus on, but just showcasing you a few success stories here. And here's Aoife, who got hired coming to one of our online workshops. She's a graphic designer. Again, I'm going to talk to you about the next steps that happens post this session, which where you'll be obviously having a one-to-one with myself. But again, it's great to see that some of our young people coming into our in-person workshops and also our online workshops are getting into different jobs. So this is the key skill section, just like a show and tell. And again, I'm open to questions here if anyone has any. But what I'd like you to understand, this is like our little toolkit with the CVs here, in terms of like your key skills. So obviously everyone here resonates with a key skill. I went around the room and I asked, Joe, if I asked you what one of your key skills, what would you say, like to something that you resonate with a lot?
Yeah, probably communication skills.
Cool. So again, so your communication skills are great. So what you'll then do there is sort of put that down your CV, but then kind of showcase in your actual CV how you've been good at that communicating skills, or you might state it as how we've shown on here, sort of giving an example, right? So it just backs up why Joe is a good communicator. You can kind of see, if we go back a bit, when I actually talked about I'm a determined individual, she just used a lot of great adjectives that she might think employers want to hear, but what you want is actually backing up that adjective with some examples at least. Does that all make sense in terms of that key skills area here? Guys, any questions on that? Have any questions? No? Okay, cool. And then the next bit is the cover letter. So you're going to receive this in your email in the future. But this is just basically what a cover letter would look like in regards to paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, just sort of the breakdown. You'll also get an actual cover letter template, kind of actually giving you a cover letter that's been written up by ourselves. But this is just kind of showcasing you exactly what you can expect in a cover letter. So why you want to work for the company, explain the current situation, just basically talking about I'm an A-level student. So, for example, Liz, you talk about your A-level student. I'm currently looking for work within, broadcast journalism. Currently doing a placement. Trying to understand a bit more about news, the components, etc. So, again, it's not waffling on. It's not. It's about telling your story, but really in a nutshell. But obviously tailoring it, obviously, of course, to the job that you're applying for. Cool. All right. So, that's sort of the end of the session. But I'm going to explain to you what happens next, and then just the little bits as well. What happens next? So you can expect a personalized support on creating your CV Pro, which we've obviously done in this session here. I hope you feel it has been personalized. You're going to get one time with myself, post workshops, financial CV. So either myself or Nicole will get in touch with you first thing next week to kind of make sure that happens. So that could happen sometime next week or in March, etc. And then you get additional support for searching for opportunities and access to mentoring. But that's also going to take place as well. What you can expect as well is you'll be part of the Dan approved community. So you're more or less halfway there. What you can see in front of you is basically our Dan approved community group chat, where basically we post different opportunities every Friday in TV, film, gaming, the list goes on, advertising, hair, makeup, beauty, etc. So there's funding opportunities as well. What we'll do for the future, we'll actually showcase you what we've actually shared in the past. There's so many different opportunities that we share, and it's just having all the opportunities in one place. Cool. Okay, Creative Mentor Network is where you can obviously get your access to mentoring. This is one of our partners. Nicole and myself will send you more details to do this. Now, there's an eligibility criteria. Now, if you're not eligible, no need to worry because they do lots of different things as well in regards to different events and schemes. But this is just basically where you can find some really cool mentoring programs. What I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to just take my headphones off because I'm going to showcase you something on. Can everyone hear me? Just double check. Okay, cool. So before I play this is Yard Sale Pizza. So they are our sponsors. We're sponsoring them their homemade brownies and also their pizza now because we've moved to Roundhouse Works, so we're quite local to one of their stores. So please feel free to scan this QR code, check out Yard Sale Pizza. But this is just based on some of our young people enjoying some brownies. And now this basically means I do owe you some brownies. I'm making you all hungry as well.
Yeah, I like them. So that is good. You know how you know it's good? You know it's good when it's cold and it's still good. And it's in the middle. We love it. We love you, Yard Sale Pizza.
So we ran our in-person workshop 2 weeks ago, 6th of Feb, and we had the brownies there and the pizza as well. So again, if you're at one of our future workshops, I'm sure you'll be able to indulge some brownies and pizza. So again, scan here for more information about Yard Sale Pizza. Just to go to the next slide, what you can see is obviously everyone came here on a donate what you can scheme. That's one of our schemes that we do to ensure that we put ourselves in the young person's shoes. And this is what some young people have actually gone away to sort of support us for our session. We are self-funded, so we are looking obviously more into acquiring more funding, but we are actually self-funded as an agency. But if you felt that the session really did support you, please feel free to scan the QR code and support us. I'll leave a link here to support us with coffee. But again, we'll send you more details about that by email anyway, in regards to how you can support us. Okay, and here you go. Some of you may have already know about our bite-sized workshops in regards to media workshops that we run. Here are some of the workshops that we do run. Next week, we'll actually be running the interview workshop, where you can see in front of you just basically the pain points that a lot of us may go through when it comes to actually breaking into media. So we're going to be doing stuff all about interviews next week. And again, this is a donate what you can scheme. So donate what you can to attend our interview workshop in regards to actually understanding what employers are looking for when it comes to interview stage. You can also go to our Instagram to actually understand and see what some young people have actually said about our interview session. And you can scan the QR code to learn more about the actual interview workshop. These are obviously the other workshops that are available as well. Cool. Okay. So that is the end of the session. I hope everyone enjoyed that. I really have enjoyed teaching everyone in regards to the CV workshop. Has anyone got any questions in regards to open line, media profile, killer line, CV stuff? No questions at all? If everyone would like to do, just before we go, because I liked everyone to kind of connect in the room, if you feel free to leave like your socials in the group chat, just so you can all connect, that would really be great before I end the session. And obviously you'll get sent this out in next week, yeah, about around next week, yeah, you'll get this actually sent out to you. But if anyone has any questions, as you're, putting down your actual socials, feel free to ask now, or again, you can always get in contact with us via email if you'd like. Also, Zach, Kirsty, Joe's there, and Liz, I'm just waiting on you before I wrap up this session. But cool. Thank you very much for everyone attending the session. You've all been a pleasure to teach and to sort of talk about the series. But I hope that's all helped. I hope you kind of see the difference in terms of how you tell your story and what employers are actually looking for. And yeah, I'm going to look forward to catching up with all of you sometime next week or sometime in March, ideally. So yeah, thank you very much, and all you take care. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.